So friends, welcome. Let's settle in, whatever that looks like for you. If you are seated, settle into that seat, get comfortable and grounded. If you're lying down, just really stretch out and allow your back to relax. Maybe the eyes close. Maybe we begin to just intentionally soften the jaw, soften the muscles in your face, soften across your forehead. And then just imagine kind of softening all of this space around your heart. Not the muscle heart, but the heart, the spirit. Just notice as we settle in here if there's been any restriction or you felt closed off or stuck or challenged. And just see if you, as you soften your actual body, can also soften that space right around your heart center. And just settle. And let's just take a few cleansing breaths together to really bring us into this moment. So take a slow, deep breath in. And just as slowly, exhale, let it go. Breathing in. Breathing out. One more together. Inhale. And exhale. And allow the body to settle a bit more. As we journey through these Yoga Sutras, each one of them, all these different threads, these different teachings, they all lead us back to that one right there at the start that says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. When you take it out of Sanskrit and you translate it to English, it just tells us that this practice, yoga, meditation, our breath work, all of these practices calm the fluctuations, the modifications, the agitations of our mind. And I would imagine that there is a strong chance that we've all experienced those things today. We've all experienced some form of a fluctuation or a modification or a moment when your mind was going somewhere and you didn't even realize how you got there or that you were even going. And sometimes we even notice that this has happened and we're not even sure when it happened. But we feel that our mind has gone to another place. And if we're not careful, it continues to go and go and go until we're so far from this present moment that it almost seems like really hard work to come back. But what we know about this practice is that the breath is our return. And so today we're going to sit with this Yoga Sutra number 12. So chapter 1, number 12, and it says that these mental modifications, these agitations in our mind, there's one way that we can begin to restrain them or calm them. And that is through practice. And so there's a lot of interpretations about what this practice is, and it's not a right or a wrong or a one-size-fits-all kind of answer. It's all of these things. Yoga is the practice. Yoga as in the asana, the physical things that we do to calm our bodies, to relieve our suffering, to heal. Meditation, this practice of coming to the present moment. It's another way of practicing the restraint, the slowing down of these modifications in our mind. Our breath work is a practice as well. Our sitting in nature, our being in community with like-minded people who also want to calm the fluctuations of their mind. All of these practices, we call this sadhana in Sanskrit. All of these practices just fill up your toolbox. So that instead of getting so drawn so far from the present moment where you don't even realize it's happening, you start to notice it more and more. And before it can get too far away, you grab one of those tools out of your toolbox and you access it. And you use it. And if we don't go to that toolbox, new conditioned ways of being are created. Just think about a kiddo that is not ever taught a good or a right way to be. He practices doing it the wrong way or the inappropriate or the whatever you want to call it way until it just becomes his habit, his conditioned way of being. And the same goes for us. If we don't teach ourselves, if we don't watch these thoughts, understand them, and then do all we can to restrain the fluctuations, we end up conditioned, and it creates habits and patterns that then we have to work even harder to overcome. And so I want to give you just this real world example of how we become so conditioned, like these chain reactions. When something happens in life, we just do that or this. And we forget to pause. And we forget to go to that toolbox and check and see if there's a tool for that. So I want you just to picture that there are some birds sitting on the fence line. Maybe it's a beautiful, cool, crisp day and the sky is blue, and just see the birds. See them sitting right on the fence line. And you can picture whatever kind of birds you want to picture. And as you picture them, I want you to also picture that there's a cat in the yard. And so see him. See that cat just sitting there in the grass looking up at those birds. And then see this dog on the porch. Not quite where the cat is, a little far away, but see the dog just sitting there. And then see the person who lives there, who is the owner of the dog and the cat, just sitting in a chair, kind of watching it all happen. That moment right there where all of those things are just happening on their own. The birds are sitting, the cat is sitting, the dog is sitting, and the person is sitting. That is the example of what happens when our mind is at ease. When it's even and it's steady and it's calm. And then the cat lunges toward the birds. And as the cat lunges toward the birds, the dog immediately lunges toward the cat. And as the dog lunges toward the cat, the human jumps up out of his chair and lunges toward the dog. And so just imagine how quickly, in a second, the whole scene changed. Now we know that cats will be cats and dogs will be dogs. But it is such a concrete example of how fast these things can happen and create these conditioned ways of being. But we have a choice. We have a choice when some action comes. We have a choice about what we do about it. Do we lunge after it because it's just what we're conditioned to do? The dog makes a move and we jump and we respond? Or do we remain calm, walk over, call him back, put our hand on his back, call the cat, whatever the things are? Think about how you move through the world when all of these reactions, these chain-like events occur. Where do you fit in the chain? I had an example just a few hours before we even met tonight of something that would, years ago, cause me to be part of that chain reaction. This thing happened. Information was shared. I heard it. I went back to drinking my tea and doing exactly what I was doing before I heard the information. And I'll tell you, it was not information that was easy to hear. My old conditioned way of being would have been just to spring into, in that moment, verbal action and just say and respond and give advice and do all the things. But rather, I took a sip of tea, literally, and I returned my attention to what I was doing before I heard the information. And then my husband turned to me and he said, "So what do you think about that?" And I said to him, with all honesty, I tell you right now, I said to him, I don't think about that. And I wish I could tell you I've lived my life this way forever. I have not, but I have learned that springing into action every time a cat goes for the bird or the dog goes for the cat is not a healthy, nor is it a sustainable way for us to live. It keeps us on alert. It keeps us in the wrong part of our nervous system, and it keeps us away from peace. And so this sutra, this 112 that tells us that if you want to restrain all these modifications of your mind, you got to practice doing it. You got to practice like I did today. Hear this information that a while back would have really sent me kind of spiraling. But today I heard it and I let it go. And my peace never wavered. And my wish and my hope for this really agitated and activated world is that we could all get to that point. We could practice breaking the chain reaction of these conditioned ways of being. I would also like to tell you that if you practice it once, it gets easier. You have to practice it many times. It's been years, and there are still moments that I am challenged. And then there are moments when it is easy. So I say that to encourage you that this idea of practicing, we practice so many things that we want to get good at, so many things that we want to learn. We practice them. Shouldn't our peace of mind be more important, or at least just as important as learning to play an instrument or learning a new skill or a new trade or a language? Just think about it. What if I practiced restraining these modifications in my mind? What a beautiful use of our time. We've been sitting over the last few times together, really noticing our thoughts, and I would encourage you to keep doing that. Watch them come in. Watch the ones that you attach to and see what that attachment is made of. Look at the why behind it. See the thoughts that come in that you're able to let go. Dig into that, understand a little more about why some are becoming easier. And what you'll start to do is create new pathways in your mind. Our brains are amazing things. We can continue to just refine and refine what happens there. They're not stuck. These conditioned ways of being are not done. They're not forever. They can be changed. So I'd like us just to sit together. We all have these things, this chain reaction, and you know which people kind of trigger you into that. Cat goes to the bird, dog goes to the cat, human goes to the dog. You know who the people are that kind of push you to those chain reactions. You know what the situations are. You know what kinds of things just pull on your attention and your energy. So the awareness is the first step. So let's just sit right here, this practice, so that our tools get sharpened. Our determination gets a little stronger. And our ability to see the peace now will begin to inform our hope and our manifestation of our ability to see the peace later on. So just take a slow breath in. Then a full breath out. And a breath in. And a breath out. And I will sit with my mind and you sit with yours. And let's just notice as we practice. Continuing to breathe. I would invite us as we close to either turn your mind's eye inward and really just picture your heart center, picture your spirit, or if it feels right for you, just bring your hand and lay it right there on your heart. And let's just commit as we close our practice together, as you see your spirit or you put your hand right there on your heart center, whichever you're doing. Let's just commit. This piece right here is important enough for me to practice protecting it. We won't close ourselves off from the world, but rather we'll figure out for each of us what it means to break that chain of the cat and the bird and the dog and the human, to stop reacting, to stop falling into old conditioned ways of being and begin to create new pathways in our mind. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised when you see it manifest in your life the first few times. It truly is a manifestation of what this practice right here gives us. It's not just peace for this moment of meditation. It is peace that truly can abide. Take your tools with you, but most importantly, use them. Namaste.